So today I wanted to get on here and kind of go over the highlights of 2022 in the garden. I just made nothing fancy, I just wrote down a little list, and I started out with I wanted to do the top 10 moments in the garden that were just really fun and exciting over 2022. But then I ended up being like, oh yeah, and then there was that, and then that, even all the little things. There were a ton of big projects that we did this year, but even all the little things just were super exciting to me as well. So it was hard to stop at 10, so I added a couple more. And another thing too is if you've been watching my movies at all over the last few months, you know that we added a new addition to our family. His name is Max, and he's a little kitty. He's around here somewhere, but this is what he looks like. This is so cute. My husband got me this for Christmas. It's just a pillow with my kitty, Max, on it. So this is a picture I took, I don't know, a couple weeks after we got him, but I'm gonna have it sit right here so you can look at how cute he is. But anyway, of course, this was our most favorite thing that happened over the last year, 2022. However, this isn't really a garden-related thing, so we'll keep him off the list. But I did have to mention, because he's my little buddy. This is in no particular order. I kind of just wrote this list as events popped into my head. So the first one I wrote down was the trellis. So I had bought a couple climbing roses. I bought Pretty in Pink climbing roses, and I needed a place to put them. A lot of times when I'm out shopping, I will see a clearance deal and it's hard for me to pass it up. I don't necessarily have a place to put that plant, but I will buy it and then plant it somewhere until I have a place to put it. So anyway, I got these two climbing roses. I needed a place to put them, and I had always wanted a trellis over by my vegetable garden. So I was talking to my brother one day, and he's like, I can help you make a trellis. And I was like, that'd be sweet. Can we just use things from around the yard? Because I'm super cheap. And he's like, yeah. So we went out in the woods. We found a couple really nice sized cherry trees for the bases of the trellis there. And we also found a really cool looking dead log for the top of it. And he went out in my woods, cut them down. He put the trellis together. We used cattle fencing, I think. And basically all he did was we dug a 3-foot deep hole, put the posts in the cherry tree, and in the sides of the cherry tree, he just cut out a groove with his chainsaw, and then he slid the cattle fence in either side of the cherry tree in that groove. And then at the top, he put really cool dead log, and it kind of has a super western-y feel, and I love it. So I'm really excited. That was one of the highlights. Super amazing addition to my garden this year was that trellis. And then a couple weeks after that, I went ahead and planted my roses on it. So that was a major success. Thank you, KJ. I love you, and I appreciate you so much. You're a genius, and you're amazing. So the next thing I have is the plant stand that my other brother, Johnny, made me. So as you know, as I mentioned before, we got a kitty. So I had to move all of my plants into this one room, which is still really hard for me. I miss having plants in this room right here, but it's okay. It's for a good cause. So I had to move all of my plants, my house plants, into this one room, and I needed a place to put them. They were sitting on this bench, and it was just, it didn't look very good. They were all crammed together, and so I asked my other brother, Johnny, to build me a houseplant stand. So we went and we got some wood from his father-in-law, who is an amazing woodworker. It was just some Michigan white pine, and he put together a 4-shelf, really thin stand that is sitting up against my wall, and I was able to fit all my plants on it. The bigger plants I just have sitting on the floor around it, but man, that was just such an awesome addition to my house garden, I guess, my house plants. And I just appreciate that so much. So thank you, Johnny, so much. I love you, bud. You are amazing. So the next thing I have on my list is Nate helped me dig sod. I'm actually not afraid of hard work. I actually really love digging sod. I don't necessarily love the act of it while I'm doing it, but after, it looks so good. And it provides another space where I can put a garden bed, put more plants. So I feel like the satisfaction of after it's done is like, it kind of trumps when I'm doing it. I'm like, okay, this is gonna look so good, just keep going. However, there was a couple times this year that Nate came out and he's like, I'll help you dig it. And I'm like, sweet, thanks. And he knows I'll do it by myself. He knows that I don't mind it at all and I actually enjoy it. But that was just like, there was a couple really hot days that we were doing it and he offered to help, and he's usually doing some other project, and if I asked him, he'd be like, oh yeah, he's right there, but he knows I like to do things myself a lot of times. So anyway, he came out, helped me dig on the side of the gully garden there where I have the roses planted. He helped me dig out a little bit more of a garden bed so I could plant a tree and some more, I think I planted hibiscus and maybe some roses over there and some hosta. And then he also helped me dig some sod on the other side of my house where I was putting in a new bed of pea stone in a walkway from our yard to the deck, to the pool area, I guess. And I was out there doing it. He was in the middle of his own giant project trying to close out the pool, and our pump was not working and it was a disaster, and he came over and helped me. So those are kind of a couple really nice highlights on super hot days that my husband helped me dig the sod. So thank you, Nate. I love you. You're awesome. So the next thing I have written down is Countryside Greenhouse. So for my birthday in April 2022, I got a gift card from my mother and father-in-law to this giant greenhouse. It's called Countryside Greenhouse. It is just amazing. The first time I walked into it, I thought I was staring in one of those like optical illusions at the fair where you like look in a mirror that's in a mirror and a mirror, and it just goes on forever. And I was like, is this like real? And yeah, it's real. It goes on forever and ever. I went there finally in the fall, late summer fall, to spend my birthday gift card, and there's $100 on it. And they were having this giant amazing sale. I think the plants were like $2.50 and like $3. It was an unreal sale. So that was really, really exciting. I loaded up my car and got a ton of great deals, a ton of great plants, and it was a really fun opportunity to try different plants that I usually wouldn't want to pay full price for. Like I got some heuchera. Heuchera is always hit and miss for me, but it's like my favorite plant. So some heuchera work out for me and some don't. And so I don't usually want to pay full price for something like that if it's not going to work out. And this way I was able to get it like at a fraction of the price, and hopefully it will come back. And if not, it's okay because it was, you know, super cheap. But anyway, thank you, Skip and Char. I appreciate you guys. You're always so thoughtful and intentional on the gifts that you get me. And you don't need to get me anything, but just always know the perfect gift to get. So I appreciate it. My garden appreciates it too. So anyway, another thing I wrote down was I was planting up out here on my deck, I think a strawberry jar with hens and chicks, and my brother from the Army called me. And I was like right in the middle of planting, and it was really cool because he said hi on the camera, and I think he said, "What's up, fam?" or something like that. I said, "Do you want to say hi to my friends on YouTube?" And he was able to say hi to you guys. So that was really fun that you guys kind of got to see my brother who is stationed over in Germany in the Army. You guys got to see him and say hi to him. That was really special moment that just happened. So yeah, love you, Michael. Thanks for calling me. And I don't know why, but all these are like family things, I guess. I just realized that. So anyway, and of course the next thing is another family thing. I have written down the Raccoon Alley sign. So my brother Kenny, who you guys haven't met yet, he is also amazing and a really great woodworker as well. He's made me some flower boxes that I've had for years, and I need him to make me some more because they're finally starting to like rot and fall apart. So I'm getting really sad about that. But anyway, I had a raccoon visiting me multiple times this year in my garden in this one little area, and so I was a little frustrated out there. He was like moving all my rocks around and digging up this one sweet tea heucherella plant. I don't know why, but he just dug that plant up every time. And so I was walking through there one day and I was just like, Raccoon Alley. And I just kind of made a joke about it and it kind of stuck. And so my brother made me a Raccoon Alley sign, and that was like one of the most treasured moments of my summer because it kind of helped me stay positive. You know, like in your garden, there's always going to be like critters and bugs and diseases that pop up. The weather, you can't control the weather. The sun, the shade, the heat, the snow, like all the different things that we deal with in our garden sometimes can just really bum us out. And so every time I looked at that sign, it kind of just like made me smile and just made me think, you know what, there's nothing I can really do about it. Like, I live next to a woods, you know, there's gonna be critters and raccoons coming up here. He needs to eat too, so I'm not gonna freak out about it. There's worse things in the world than me freaking out over a raccoon moving a few rocks in my garden. Like, it's actually kind of funny. It's a little creepy looking when it happens, but that sign just brought so much joy to me because it reminded me to just like, don't fret about the little things and appreciate the things that you do have and the things that are going right. So anyway, thank you, Kenny. I love you so much and you're such a sweetie. And you can make me some boxes anytime you want. So the next thing actually is another thing about my family. My sister, she grew me some free impatiens in her greenhouse. So I love impatiens, I love begonias, I love like all the old school flowers. I'm just kind of like that. I love all the new fancy things too, but I just love a good impatien. Well, impatiens in my area, and particularly in my garden, they get this disease called downy mildew. And it's basically like your plant just quits blooming and it's just like stalks and it kind of turns like a yellowy color. Well, I planted impatiens every year, and every year about halfway through the summer, they would do that. They would get the downy mildew and just like die off. And so last year, so 2021, I thought, you know what, I can't do it anymore. I'm not wasting money on impatiens. And so I was gonna just plant begonias. Well, I was in the garden center, my local garden center here, and my friend Liz, who owns it, she was showing me these impatiens called Beacon impatiens, and it's spelled B-E-A-C-O-N, Beacon impatiens, and she said apparently they don't get downy mildew. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try those. And I actually asked my sister's husband as well because he's a really good grower. He also works at a nursery, and he said, yeah, those new Beacon impatiens, they're supposed to not get downy mildew. I thought, you know, I'm gonna try it one last time. I'm gonna try the Beacons, and oh my word, they were amazing. No downy mildew, tons of blooms. They got giant. They were gorgeous all year long. So I thought, I'm gonna plant them again this year, 2022. And my sister, bless her heart, she's got a greenhouse and she grows this giant, massive, beautiful cut flower garden. And she offered to grow me those from seeds. So she grew me, I don't even know, like probably 5 or 6 seed trays, plug trays full of them. So I had like hundreds of impatiens. So what I did was, I love doing experiments, and I went and I planted some, you know, all over my garden. Any little like hole or nook and cranny I could find, I just plugged impatiens in there, and man, it was so beautiful, so beautiful. And then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try to plant them in the sun. And so I planted them in full on sun, and I wasn't sure how they were gonna do. especially since our underground sprinkling went out for like 2 to 3 weeks this summer on like a record hot series of weeks. And I thought, crap, this is not a good idea. They're not gonna survive. Oh my word, I was so impressed by these Beacon Impatiens in the full sun. They were gorgeous. And I would almost say that they were more gorgeous than the ones that were planted in the full shade or part shade because they had tons of blooms on them. The ones in the part shade and shade had tons of blooms on them too, but these ones in the sun were like super green, super like compact and full, and it was just this perfect little clump of just a sea of pink, beautiful pink impatiens. And so happy that I tried that experiment this year because impatiens are supposed to only go in the shade or part sun. So that was amazing. I'm so glad. I'm going to definitely do that again this year because they provided so much color in this kind of dreary area where I was adding in a new path, trying to grow some grass, and it was just kind of like a cluster, like uglier part of my garden this year. And so those beautiful pink impatiens were just such a highlight. So thank you, Coco. I love you so much, and I appreciate all that you do for me. And growing those impatiens, it was such a fun, joyful learning experiment in my garden this year. So thank you very much. We are on to, the shed and the wall. One of the biggest projects we did this year was we put in a retaining wall for a new shed that we were getting. So we had an area out there, it was just kind of a no man's land. I had some plants planted in there, but it was kind of like a dump area where I was just holding plants for a while until I found a spot for them. And so we had a old tree out there that was already kind of rotting. So my husband came out there, he chopped it off with his chainsaw. We saved all the wood. And my brother, my sweet brother KJ, came over, and he is amazing at landscaping and building retaining walls. He's the one that built my rose trellis. And he, along with my husband and some other friends, just went to town at building us this giant retaining wall. It ended up being a lot bigger than we thought it was gonna be, but man, it is gorgeous. And I'm really excited about it because I want to clean out around it. That's a whole nother project for 2023, but I'm just like, man, this retaining wall is so gorgeous, like it needs to be seen, even if it's just by me and you guys. So my plans are, I'm gonna go back there, make like a path around it, and hopefully make like a secret garden back there, because I'm getting sidetracked, but when we were back there finding cherry trees to cut down for my trellis, we found this beautiful maple tree back there, and it is the perfect spot for like a secret garden. So anyway, hopefully you'll be seeing more of my brother's beautiful retaining wall that he built. So anyway, we built the retaining wall, and then we had this company called Michigan Dutch Barns come in, and they built us a shed. They came in, and it was an amazing process of how they brought it in. It was just on this like dolly, and this one single guy comes, lifts it up on the dolly, and takes it like all the way down through my yard and just plops it on its spot, and it's done. It's actually amazing how they do it. That was an awesome addition to our garden this year. Thank you to my brother, my husband Nate, and our friends Whitney, who drove the tractor pulling all that soil to fill in the retaining wall. Yeah, it was just a really fun experience and a really fun project this year, and so excited. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful shed. So thank you everyone who helped. A couple littler things which were equally as amazing. I had a piglet fountain grass out in the front that I planted last year. I got 3 of them in a little tiny quart container and planted them in my front landscape. They looked gorgeous last year, all through the year, and then this year when they popped up, I'm not sure what happened. I think that my neighbor's dog, well, I know that my neighbor's dog was kind of going to the bathroom on my plant, And because I came out there during the summer and I was like kind of scraping snow back, and there was like some chunks of a fecal delivery on the top of my piglet fountain grass. So that could have been it. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that was just a coincidence. That could have been the reason. Maybe not. But it just had this bald spot in the top. And I've seen grasses do that after a while. You know, especially after you've had a grass for years, it will just do that. It will just create this bald spot. But this was a brand new planting, like from the previous year. It hadn't even had a full year yet, and it had like this giant bald spot. And so I was like, you know what, I have to fix it. So I wasn't sure if it was gonna work, but I got in there, I dug the whole entire thing out. I took my Hori Hori knife and I kind of carved out the middle of it and just kept all the outside bits, because the outside bits looked really pretty. They were super green and gorgeous, and then the middle was just like this bald spot. So took out the middle, and then I kind of clumped all the outside bits together and planted it in its little clump. It was on a struggle for a while because that really hot stretch I talked about for like 2 to 3 weeks, that came in and hit us, and I was trying to keep it watered. I was trying to keep some shade over it, and it was on a struggle. Honest to God, I thought I was gonna lose it. I thought it was gonna be a failure. But it kept on a-chucking. I kept watering it, and then sure enough, you know, towards the end of the summer, in the fall, when the heat started to kind of calm down a little bit, it bloomed, and it was gorgeous. It is obviously a little bit smaller than the other two that I have, but it'll catch up in no time. Of course, I had to take, you know, probably 60-70% of the plant out because it was dead. So that was a really great success this year, just trying new things. It sometimes can be scary in your garden when you find things are not doing well, they're dying, they're struggling or whatever, but just take a deep breath, maybe go dig it up, take it and plant it somewhere else where it's getting less or more sunlight. Just experiment in your garden, and you never know. You could have a major success, and the worst thing that can happen is your plant dies. I mean, it was already struggling. It was already dying anyway. So you could have a death on your hand, which you were probably going to have anyway, or just try to think out of the box and see if you can fix it. It's kind of what I did with this grass, and I was pleasantly surprised. So one of my other most exciting things in my garden this year was planting my red, white, and blue garden bed around my mailbox. So since we moved in, we built our house, like I said, about 7 years ago now, and I've always had 2 really beautiful, phenomenal lavender plants out by my mailbox, and they're gorgeous. After a while, I think one of you told me that lavender just dies off. I'm not sure what happened. I do know we had a ton of snow last year, and that could have been the issue. There's just, you know, piles of snow out there where the snow plow comes through and plows. I'm not really sure. For whatever reason, I lost my lavender last year, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do something completely different. I'm not gonna put any perennials out there. I want that to be super colorful and just super happy and vibrant. And so in honor of my brother, who I talked about before in the Army, I planted some red, white, and blue flowers out there. I did white geraniums, red big begonias, and Victoria blue salvia out there, and it was just gorgeous. I loved it. It was so much fun to drive in and out of my driveway all the time, and I really hope that the mail lady loved it, and all the people that walk by on her street, they would just comment how gorgeous it was too. So I was really pleased by that, and I'm for sure going to do that again this next year. I think I'll switch up the plants a little bit. I planted it a little bit later in the season. I wanted to get some white euphorbia, but they were all out at the garden center, so that's why I went with the white geraniums. But next year I'll probably do white euphorbia, probably the diamond snow, because it's a little bit more compact. If I can't do the diamond snow, I'll do the diamond mountain, and then I'll just put that between the blue salvia and the big begonia. So anyway, that was an awesome experiment this year, and I'm so glad I switched it up and did annuals instead of perennials. And I waited a little bit later in the season, so I believe they were 30 or 40% off too. So that was an awesome little extra joyous surprise. So the last one I have on my list is extending my island bed. So early this summer, my husband and I, we extended the island bed that's out in the middle of our yard. So we went to Home Depot, I got some metal edging, and I put this bed in all by myself. I worked my butt off like for a couple days and did it. I found some really cheap $10 river birch trees. They were so small that they both fit in my car, my small little car, and that's how small they were. Planted those up, and as I said, we've been here for about 7 years now, and so the birch trees were growing out of that little space. And so my husband's like, we need to extend this garden bed, and I'm like, okay, because that means I can buy more plants. So anyway, we did. We dug out the sod and we extended about 4 or 5 feet on both sides. So it was significantly bigger than when we started, and it looked amazing. Another cool thing that happened while we were doing that, we had to go get a little bit more edging. I reused the old edging that we had, and then we just had to add a couple more pieces to it. So we went up to Home Depot to get a couple more pieces, and they were having like a sale. There was like this giant clearance cart on double play candy corn spirea, and they were $5. I think they were originally like $27 or something like that, and they were $5 each. So I scooped up some of those, and I was able to plant those out in my garden bed too. I think I also put some Grape Expectation heuchera that I got on sale, and I think I split some of my frozen margarita hosta that were just back here serving no purpose. Dug them up, split them up, and I think I made 3 plants into 6, and the rest is history. So anyway, those were some really amazing top moments in my garden this year. And last but not least, I didn't write this down actually. This just popped into my head because I'm thinking about you guys. I'm thinking about saying goodbye and how much I appreciate you. And so last but not least, I did just want to say it's been I think a year since I started my movies, and actually it was about that garden bed when I extended that island bed that a lot of you started watching. I know there's been a few of you that have been here since like the beginning. Like there's my family, and then like that handful of you that has been here since the beginning. But right around the island bed this year, like more people started coming and watching my movies. And so anyway, all of you that are here and all of you that are watching, you guys are a huge, amazing part of my garden this year too. Like it's just been so much fun to share just my successes and my failures with you guys, and I've just so greatly appreciated all of your suggestions and your wisdom and your advice. For one thing, I've learned so much from you guys, and I appreciate all the comments of encouragement and support. And man, some of you guys are super funny, telling me all of your stories and telling me about, you know, the loved ones that you've lost, which is like a pretty big deal for you to share that with me over the internet. So I appreciate that. I appreciate all of the moments where you've shared with me how the songs that I am singing remind you of, you know, your dad or your granny, or that you used to sing that song growing up, or whatever. Just all of your encouragement around my gardening and my music, and just who I am. I just really appreciate you guys. So please don't forget that even though I've got this amazing list of things that happen, this amazing list of things in my head that happen that I can't even get into, all the little things, I could just go on for forever and ever. Like, please don't forget that you guys are a huge part of this, and just were a huge blessing to me this year, to me and my husband and Max. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. There's lots of different things you could be watching. There's lots of things you could be doing with your time, but every once in a while you sit down and you spend some minutes with me in my garden, and I just really appreciate it. I hope that you are just enjoying these moments with your family and friends, and finding opportunities to stay positive, and hopefully you're getting out in your garden, even though like with me, we're in the middle of like a snowstorm blizzard right now. So anyway, I just want to just take a second and just tell you how much I appreciate you guys. And all right, well, I think that's it for 2022. We'll see you guys next year. Bye. Love you guys.
I go out walking after midnight, out in the moonlight, just like we used to do. I go out walking after midnight, searching for you. I walk for miles along the highway. Well, that's just my way of saying I love you. I'm always walking after midnight, searching for you. I stop to see a weeping willow crying on his pillow. Maybe he's crying for me. And as the sky turns gloomy, the night wind whispers to me, I'm lonesome as I could be. I go out walking after midnight in the starlight, just hoping maybe you're somewhere walking after midnight, searching for me. I go out walking after midnight in the starlight, just hoping maybe you're somewhere walking after midnight, searching for me. I stop to see a weeping willow crying on his pillow. Maybe he's crying for me. And as the sky turns gloomy, the night wind whispers to me, I'm lonesome as I could be. I'm always walking after midnight in the moonlight, just like we used to do. I'm always walking after midnight, searching for you. I'm always walking after midnight.